Hello everybody, this is Tara Woodruff from CoachTaraWoodruff.com, otherwise known as the Helpful Entrepreneur, and this is my day 7 of my 90-day video challenge, and today I'm going to talk about some of my homesteading adventures. I am what you call maybe a suburban homesteader. I try to do as much as I can from my plot. I am not really great at it. I did have a horticultural certificate, but that's not really like a farming certificate or a permaculture certificate. But we've been doing this for a few years. Actually, it started out as a business idea because I really wanted to help people start getting more in touch with their food and start growing their own. And we actually had a business called Nana's Garden. It completely fell apart and I fell flat on my face. And that's okay. People just aren't willing to pay you to put a garden in. And that's alright. Didn't stop me. Didn't stop the fact that I really wanted to grow my own food. And, excuse me. I just have the driest throat. And continue on with the process. So I've been semi-successful at some things and really fail at other things. And it's part of the whole process. Like, if you've been following me for a while, my goal is to get self-sufficient, off the grid in such a way where I'm producing my own power. And maybe the only thing that I'm doing that outside of that would be satellite internet, because I'm always going to be an internet entrepreneur. So I figured I better start practicing this stuff now. So I've raised chickens before, but I ended up, this was just at the time where I was having that really hard time financially. I couldn't even afford feed anymore. I didn't have a truck to go buy the feed anymore. We weren't eating enough to give them scraps. It was just terrible, and I ended up selling the chickens that I had at that time. And that worked out pretty good, because somebody had some really great, I had beautiful, beautiful chickens. You've seen pictures. So this year, my mom said to me, let's get some chickens. And I was like, oh, you sure? I mean, they're not free. They're not free. And she's like, no, let's do it. And so for this past year, we have enjoyed the most wonderful chickens. They are so sweet. We have what we got was 2 Leghorns, 3 Rhode Island Reds, and 1, I don't know what it is, but we call her the boss lady. You've probably seen a blog or 2 about her, maybe even a video. And it's at the point where it's now going to be wintertime. The egg production is starting to slow off, and from what I've been watching and reading and learning, it's a really good idea to harvest for meat at about a year old, and they're about a year old. So I've been watching steady videos, trying to figure out the method in which I want to use to honor their life as well as their death when I harvest them. And I've been through a lot of videos, and I didn't see anybody doing it wrong, and I certainly have no real overt opinions about how anybody did anything. Some people take a lot longer than they need to, and they're doing things that I don't think are necessary. Some people are so, well, maybe I do have an opinion. Some people, a couple I saw, were just a little bleeding heart. Like, the chicken knows who they are. It's okay. Just like when you go fishing, it's okay. As long as you're not just killing stuff for, like, their fin. We're here to it's part of the cycle of life. This is part of it. So, I discovered that this is the method I chose. I chose to use a cone, which I made out of gallon waters, or milk jugs you call them. And what I did is, you're not supposed to feed them for 24 hours, so instead of not feeding them for 24 hours, I just didn't uncoop them today. I just left them with water until it was time, and at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I opened up the chicken coop, and they were all out ready to eat and ready to go, and we picked the 2 chickens that we were going to harvest. And what we did was the largest red and the second largest red. And so I gave Sarah hers, and what I did is I used a zip tie to keep their feet together. I did not hurt them with that. There was plenty of room for them to kind of move around. From the different videos that I've watched, I found that the people that did that, or that used twine or some kind of string, had an easier time about everything. So that's what I chose to do. I put the 2 cones up, and what we did is we held our chickens that we were going to harvest by the feet, and kind of just like swung around a little, not I've seen some guys do the full swing. Why? I'm not sure. I did not do that because I thought it was erroneous, extra, dramatic. Didn't need to be there. I know that if someone's going to harvest my ass, I definitely don't want them swinging me around in circles. So I, even though they're not humans, I still applied what would I prefer. And I didn't want the noise. Everyone I saw that swung the chickens, there was a lot of noise, and I didn't want my dogs to go berserk. Second reason is we wanted Stella to be present, and I didn't want her to think it was supposed to be fun. I wanted her to take it seriously and respectfully. I know she's only a year and a half, but I wanted her to be there. For another reason for that is because a lot of people were talking about that particular thing, and in most of these videos you hear children in the background or they're there helping, because they've had experiences or heard of experiences where people didn't do the harvesting of the meat in front of the children, and then the children discover this later and are just blindsided by it. Stella was definitely not blindsided by anything, and she was not freaked out by nothing. Kids know, especially when they're little. So anyway, we did that little swinging, and then we put them in the cone, and we let them stay in the cone for a little while. Just kind of keep, I wanted to kind of make them, I guess what happens is they kind of get like hypnotized by it. And Stella sat there and she watched them, and the funniest thing, because I swear she only knows hi and mom and dad, she was going, eat. Maybe she wasn't saying eat, but that was the sound she was making, and she was definitely going, So I thought that was interesting. So the method I chose was to cut the jugular vein and let them bleed out a little while first. I didn't, from the different videos that I saw, everyone that did the straight cutting off of the head with the chicken still alive had one problem or another, and it was usually and mostly because they were videotaping and they were nervous about it, because no matter how natural of a process it is, it's nerve-wracking. And so I definitely didn't want to do that. And the people I saw that cut the jugular, it was a much smoother transition from physical to spirit. So that's the way I chose. So I had Sarah hold Stella because I didn't want her to get like whatever, come up and be like, oh, I didn't want that. And I chose to do both of them instead of having Sarah do one. Sarah shared all the other tasks with her chicken, but the actual killing. Next time that won't be the case. I think she can do it. But I knew that she was very like hesitant, more so than I was. So I cut the jugular on the first chicken. Sarah had to go sit down, so she went and sat away a little bit. She was definitely like woozy, and it was okay. I did do this. I did thank her and told her that I thought she was a great chicken, and I was very, very happy for the sacrifice she was making for me. And then I did the other one. The cones that I make didn't work perfect. They didn't perfectly hold them. So I will be better at that next time. I waited until they passed. I didn't walk away. Some people walk away and just let them pass on their own. I stayed with them. First, because the cones weren't secured, I didn't want them to flop on the ground and just be like, and not bleed out correctly, all that crazy stuff. So I waited and waited until there was no more blood. And the blood is not as bad as you would think it is at all. Thank goodness. And then at that point, I put them on the chopping block, which I have a stump, and I used my machete and I cut their heads off. I chose to do that because I saw everyone that scalded their chickens, they kept the heads on for it, and I didn't like it. So again, I'm going to choose what I felt would be better, and at that point I took the heads off and let them bleed out a little, whatever was left, let them bleed out. We had hot water at 160 degrees, and I took my chicken by her feet, put her in the scalding water, and swished her for 30 seconds. Then after that, Sarah did the same to hers. Then I hung my chicken up by the feet. It still had the zip tie. And I brought Stella over, and Stella actually helped me and her mother defeather the chicken. Amazingly enough, defeathering a chicken, if it's been scalded for 30 seconds in 160 degree water, is nothing. Nothing to it. The process of cleaning the chicken and getting the feathers off was not gross at all. It wasn't even kind of gross. It didn't smell bad. It wasn't, when I first killed them, there was that iron smell, but it was gone after they were, you know, bled out. So Stella actually helped us, and she thought it was interesting. She's like, I have feathers on my hands. And she, you know, and it pulls right off. I think if it was my second time around, I'd probably have that done in about 3 minutes. It took us about 5. It took Sarah a little bit longer. Hers didn't get as clean, but we figured it out, and we got them to the point that we felt was happiness. The next thing I did is I loosened the tendons around, or not the tendons, the vocal cords around the neck. So I cut that there so that the neck could fully just be out. Not come all the way out, but to be out. And then I pinched a little skin on the stomach up towards the top of the trachea on us, you know, like right there at the gathering of the rib cage. Pierced the skin and made a little room for myself, and then found the difference between what's in there that I don't want to cut and, like, I guess a thin muscle layer. And I pierced that, and then I made my way and got all the guts out. Sarah did the same for her own. And the whole process took us, as beginners, about 30 minutes. It was way better as far as I wasn't sure how I was going to be. It wasn't bad. I would definitely do it again, and I'm definitely going to. I definitely felt that I feel really, really blessed that I was able to raise these chickens in a humane, organic way. Provide my family with organic eggs and meat, and honor them in their life and in their death. I didn't know how the other chickens were going to act because they were all out running around while I was doing this. Funny thing is, they stayed away for the kill, and they stayed away for the defeathering. When it was time to gut, they wanted action, and they wanted to eat the guts, and they wanted to peck at my chickens that were on the table. And we didn't let them. We did cut their feet off, which is pretty simple. That was pretty simple. A little pain in the butt because I don't have the best knives, but thank God I have a really good sharp fillet knife, and I was able to do everything else without hurting anything. Once the chicken was gutted and the feet were off, I removed the entire bum. I guess there's a little bit of musk right on the back part. I made sure I got all around that, and I just got it off there because I didn't know what I'd be leaving behind that wasn't supposed to be there, and I didn't want to leave anything behind. I used a hose to make sure that the insides were completely clear of any intestines or debris or anything like that, and kept them cool. And it was a lot quicker than I thought. I probably couldn't have walked to the store and come back and got something that was beat up, abused, and treated horribly its entire life, scalded alive, and put on your table in the same amount of time. You know, so I'm honored. I am very honored about that. I'm very happy that I did that. And I'm really happy right now that in 24 hours we can have a really amazing chicken dinner. They were bigger than I thought they would be. I thought they'd be really scrawny little chickens, even though, because I figured they're all feathers. They actually turned out to be pretty good size. Right now they are marinating or soaking, as you would say, in a salt bath for 24 hours. The reason I was given for this, and the reason why I will tell you, is because I guess if you cook them too soon, if they set rigor mortis while you're cooking or something like that, it'll be very harsh, very hard meat. And everyone says, you know, 24 to 3 days in a salt bath. If you're doing an old rooster, 2 years old, 3 years old, that you would use lemon, salt, and water. So keep that in mind. If you do decide that you're going to homestead, I want to tell you this, and whether or not your experience is the same as mine, I don't know, but it will not. I really believe that you can do it. I really believe that you can. If you've ever gone fishing, you can do this. Okay? So, with that being said, that was my experience today. That is my day 7 of 90. And below this video, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the blog, Whittaker Garden, so you can see all the different steps that I took. And next time we harvest chicken, I don't know when that will be. We want to kind of bring these guys all the way up until the time to get new chicks. So, you know, I don't know. I'll put the link to the blog underneath this video. Go and check it out. And thank you so much for listening and watching and Next time I will definitely videotape so you can see exactly how I chose to do it and why, I guess, if you'll know why. I love you all. Coach Tara Woodruff. Peace.